Archaeland. Early access first and foremost, I will never understand why people are so hard with the reviews in early access. Early access is literally a disclaimer that the game will not be function as it will upon full release. That being said, understand that any criticism I note below I accept or at least am reserving judgment on until a full release, so if you read this review I suggest apprehensions through the same lanes. Combat difficulty accuracy. The combat is definitely a challenge. I am playing my current game on normal difficulty, which comparative to other games I play would be to hard difficulty. However, aside from the fact that this game has an easy difficulty below the normal setting and the fact that I like a good challenge. There is another concept at play that most genres of today are not familiar with because many devs have done away with it. I am referring to the concept of coming back to an area when your character party is stronger. One of the things I like about this concept is that you have access to difficult areas at the early level. It's up to you to recognize when a fight might be too difficult for you. This confuses a same lot of games because they aren't used to it. They're used to having their hands held by the devs. This game allows the freedom of choice. If you accept to roll into every area or encounter immediately available you to dominate, you need to rethink your playstyle. Play realistically. The combat isn't really that difficult, you just need to find the combats your characters are capable of fighting. Strategy is definitely a big part of combat through. You can't rapid fire buttons or spam spells. You have to think smart and play your party characters to their strengths. Exploration environment. The open world exploration style along with details in graphics and colors it, as others have said, reminiscent of Skyrim or Morrowind. The landscape is diverse and three-dimensional. You can find hills to climb which will put you on bluffs overlooking lower valleys. You start off on the store and quickly climb the levels through a dungeon to find yourself atop a big. My only note on the environment is I would like to see more pieces of environment I can interact with, such as collectible resources or animal to hunt and cook skin. As of currently the environment does feel a little too much like a backdrop or painting for interactions with combat or quests giving NPCs. I don't know that I have been seeing any animals or wildlife aside from the hostile enemy types. These enemies seem a little too few and far between to be considered habitat inhabitants, which makes the wilders feel a little empty and unrealistic. I'm hoping that upon release the world outside cities walls will feel a little more fleshed out and alive, UI functionally. As far as the subject go, I don't have many notes, which is a good thing. When you don't have notes on UI functionality, it means the same game isn't falling short in any areas you would notice because they don't interrupt your ability to have a seamless gameplay experience. That being said, I do have a few quality of life components. It would be nice to be able to have access to some sort of hoodbird, while a first person mode for equipping torches and other items which only matters for a lead party member. For top down, it would be nice to rotate the respective using QA keys rather than my mouse scroll wheel. Gameplay things. I had liked to see the ability to stealth past groups of enemies. I can see how it could be positive. This was deliberately avoided to make certain areas loot only accessible once a party is reached, so I could live without it. The ability to split or rearrange my party before a combat, this one is big. If my flashy Hurley or Wizard type is one on front when in inevitable combat, That's definitely not strategic decision that I make if I had control over it. It would be nice to be able to perform a sneak attack or surprise attack from outside of combat before initiating combat. If you are snuck up on a grab round on bandits and one of my guys has a bow, I don't think it's out of realm of realism for him and to get surprise shot before combat begins. If you have this wish list that I would recommend getting is now instead of waiting for the release. Why? There is already 15 or 20 hours of content, but also the galeb feedback has a decent change of influencing the final edit. With so many classes and 4 characters to create, an early run will help you establish what party you will want to use in the final release. Judging by the world map, this could easily be a 100 hours adventure.